So, what about this? We're getting fired up. The IRS in the middle of yet another scandal this morning. Listen to this. They sent $4 billion in tax refunds to identity thieves last year, at the same time that they were targeting the Tea Party, which they were a little bit more successful at. Is it time to scrap the IRS and to start over? Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. Ro Khan is the host of Ro and Roper, co-host. And Stephen Moore is a senior economic writer for the Wall Street Journal and is also a Fox News contributor. You know, it always strikes me as very interesting. The government is very good at some things and very bad at others. And it appears that when it comes to targeting folks from the Tea Party, they're quite skillful. They know exactly where to find them. They know exactly how long to keep them waiting when they look for tax-exempt status. But when it comes to sending thieves your money, huge checks that went to China, they can't seem to figure that out, Leslie.
Oh, listen, I said this morning before I sent my talking points, you guys want me to defend the IRS? I think the IRS is perhaps the only entity that every political side in this country can agree on. We hate them. Now, would I like them to go away because I hate paying taxes? Of course. But the reality is, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. The IRS is very large, too big for its britches, some might say. But to me, this is not just a reflection of the Obama administration. This is a reflection of an agency that has been wrought with fraud and abuse for decades.
Yeah, but you know
the fact that my refund is being applied to next year and people in China are getting money back, I don't know, guys. Maybe we should tap into the hackers.
Yeah, of course it's going to tick you off. It's going to tick everybody off. But what drives me crazy, Ro, is the fact that whenever we talk about cutting spending, we're told that we can't find anywhere to cut it. You know, and meanwhile, you're spending $4 billion, much of it to China, for bad tax refunds? Yeah. That looks like a good place to start.
Yeah, that does seem like a good place to start. Really, what this comes down to is efficiencies. Now, I know this is going to sound very ironic because of healthcare.gov, but what the nation needs to do is invest in computer systems. We need to figure out a way to actually be more efficient digitally. Now, what's really interesting is that 3 credit reporting agencies are able to figure out a fraudster in about 15 seconds on the web. How come the United States government can't do it? And here's another point. The new Commerce Secretary used to own TransUnion, the credit reporting giant. Why can't we call on her?
Yeah, why do these horrific inefficiencies, Steve Moore, continue to happen in a country that has mastered so much in technology?
Well, I think the question, Martha, is why are we even surprised this kind of thing happens? I mean, we've seen it with the food stamps program. We've seen it with the unemployment insurance program. We've seen it with the disability program. We know there are tens of billions of dollars of fraudulent payments. And the real problem is a question of priority. You're exactly right. Here they're spending all of this money and this manpower chasing down the Tea Party groups when they should be uprooting all of this fraud that's going on. But I'll say this, Martha, your question about whether it's time to just completely abandon and scrap the IRS. I've devoted my whole life to this. For 30 years, I've said this tax system doesn't work. It is making payments to people who shouldn't be getting it. Some people are paying way more taxes than they should. Why not go to a national sales tax, or why not go to a flat tax, something that would be much simpler? Yep. You could get rid of half of the IRS agents, and it would also do a lot for the economy.
You have done a tremendous amount of work on this, Stephen. And, Leslie, why do you think, Leslie, that the American people are so incredibly tolerant, it would appear, of this stuff? I mean, why doesn't it come up during elections? Why don't people say, you know what, get a handle on this because it's a mess?
Well, it's interesting because left or right, when you talk about spending, you don't see IRS on there. I liken the IRS to the police. They pull up behind you with blue lights. You know you've done nothing wrong, but your heart skips a beat when you get that envelope in the mail. I honestly think that the American people feel powerless against the IRS. If you think about it, if an individual in America files for bankruptcy, everyone gets brushed off your slate. It's a clean slate except for the IRS. People are fearful the IRS can take their home, can take their car, cars. And quite frankly, what the IRS needs is to have an audit of itself, much like they audit us. I am offended as an American that constantly the IRS will come back at people like myself and my husband to get more money from us when we pay taxes, when there are millions of people in this country that don't pay taxes.
Leslie.
And now we're issuing refunds in China.
Leslie, it's not just, look, the IRS isn't just a tax collection agency. That's the whole point of this. Martha, 1/3 of the people are actually getting checks back from the government. It's actually become a dispenser of cash. It's a welfare program.
All right, guys,
now.
we're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Ro. We'll do it again. I promise. It's a big topic. Thanks, guys.